So there are a lot of consumers, especially younger consumers, who really care about that. They want the companies they engage with to show the receipts, as they say, and show that they're making an impact. And it's not just enough to show a logo or a label. You have to really demonstrate what you're doing for people to take you seriously.
Hey guys, this is Sid Patel, CEO of Beverage Trade Network and International Bulk Wine and Spirit Show. I'm here at O'Neill Vintners with Kryss Speegle. She's the master of wine and leads, the O'Neill's development for private labels, bulk wine. We're going to really talk about how she's making her company relevant for the current, chapter of sustainability. So, Kryss, thanks for having me here.
Oh, thanks for being with
Super. We're going to talk about, how you are moving the company towards more sustainable solutions and offering and creating your products. So I think one of the things that you will be speaking at the Bulk Wine Show is really on this subject. But let's give people a little bit of teaser about what is our topic, and then let's break it down from there. So give me a little punchline about why this is important and what are we going to speak about.
Absolutely. For any business to be relevant, we need to think about the consumer and what they want. We can't just push what we make onto the consumer. And we're seeing more and more evidence that consumers and also gatekeepers, the wine buyers, are interested in wine products that are a social good. They might be speaking to wellness concerns. They're better for you. They might have a social good attached to them. They're sustainable. They're organic. And we need to be a part of that if we want to be relevant. And Jeff O'Neill, our CEO, has always been very keen on listening to the consumer and also building the wine business in a way that is truly sustainable, because it's a family business and he wants it to pass down through the generations. So he made it very clear a number of years ago that he wanted us to pursue sustainability in whatever avenue was relevant and attainable for us. So that's been a driving principle of the company ever since. We started out getting our sustainability certification through the CSWA. And we are in the process of cataloging all of our certified sustainable vineyards so that we can put that logo on some of our labels. Getting the sustainability certification is one thing, but doing all the paperwork is another thing. So they're two separate challenges. And then beyond that, getting the story out there, showing people what we're doing to make the world a better place and to be good stewards of the environment. And then in terms of other certifications, let's say, or other programs or social good, they're, people should do what's relevant to them. We have made organic wine before, I should say wine from organic grapes. It's something we've started doing again recently because there's a demand for it. You want to work with certain retailers or in certain population segments, you have to speak to them. We've looked at ISO, we've done an ISO certification. That's really important around sustainability and waste management. And as you may know, we became a certified B Corp last year, which is really exciting for us because it puts us in a class of organizations all over the world that have made a commitment not just to environmental stewardship, but also to being a force for good in the community. And we really think that the way going forward for business is to plan not just for your own success and profit, but for the success of all, we say, stakeholders.
Let's start on an example where you were consulted for a winery, right? And they've given you that, okay, this is my direction now. How would you design the process? Like, how would you make winery capable first to become sustainable winery, and what are the things they can do? And then we can talk about kind of offerings that you are hearing buyers are more interested in these days, when it comes to private labels or even bulk or any other brands as well.
For your first question, in order to build or transform your production into a sustainable model, you really have to look at every part of the value chain. Obviously, that starts in the vineyards. Whether you own your own vineyards or establishing them, it's always great if you can start, from the ground up and establish a sustainable or organic vineyard, or whether you're sourcing from others, you need to find partners who are already there or who are willing to work with you. And you'd be surprised how many people are willing to work with you if you give them a hand. If you say, okay, we'll help you with the paperwork, we'll help you, with the bureaucratic end of it. A lot of people are very open to that. And then going through the process in the winery, and everything from the additives that you're using to how you dispose of your wastewater, that's very important, to how you manage your energy usage. Obviously, solar is a great opportunity in California because we have a lot of sunny days. You have to think about all those product streams, not just the wine you're making, but the water, the electricity. If you're using diatomaceous earth, how are you going to dispose of that? Or can you move to solutions like crossflow where you're not generating a lot of waste with filtration? That all makes a difference. In your packaging, are you going to do traditional packaging, in which case, we need to look at more lightweight glass, which goes against the conventional wisdom that a premium feeling bottle of wine has to be heavy. Are you going to scrap glass altogether and go to different packaging? All those things matter. We've had a kegging program for a number of years, which is fantastic, very earth friendly. We've seen it's increasingly popular with consumers to get wine on tap. Those are all great solutions. When you ship wine, obviously I work a lot on the bulk side of the business. Shipping wine in bulk is way better for the environment, lower carbon footprint than shipping in bottle. So if you're shipping in bulk to your point of distribution and bottling there, that's a huge win for the environment. But you need to break down every stage of the process, from the vineyard to the cellar to the packaging and how it goes out into the market to build a sustainability program. And then you need to think about certification and whether you need to be certified. There are a lot of people who are organic or biodynamic in practice. They don't want to or can't pay for the audits and the certifications because it's always an external body that's doing that. But if you make a name for yourself and you're working authentically, and you don't do the certification, but you're telling the story and demonstrating your commitment in other ways, then I think that many small producers can be very successful that way. For us, we have the resources to pursue these certifications. So the CSWA, now B Corp, we saw a very clear, not just an opportunity, but almost an obligation to do that. If we want to be leaders in this industry, then we need to be able to demonstrate that other people, auditors, but just people who are knowledgeable, who are outside of our organization, have verified that we're moving in the right direction. And that enables us not just to showcase our credentials, but also to help other people. We've had a lot of people contact us just in the past year. How do you become a B Corp? Is that something I can do? Can you answer some questions for us? And it's great to be in that position.
True.
In terms of your second question and how these programs apply to things like private label or any brand, you have to know your consumer.
You mean the buyer who's buying, or the end consumer?
Both. Both. I mean, I work in the bulk business, so I do a lot of sales to other wineries, also retailers, importers. You have to know them and what they want. Your job is to solve their problems. If their brand is growing so fast that they can't make it all, that's a problem, and I want to solve it. Or if I'm working with someone in the Nordics who needs to bring in a certain product that meets a certain profile, I need to solve that problem for them. However, if I'm really doing my job, I'm looking down to their consumer, because that helps me understand them. Who's going to drink the wine? All wine is flowing to somebody who's going to be drinking it, and I want their experience to be as positive as possible. And if that consumer is interested in having a product that's sustainably made, that's by a company who's socially involved, that's governed well, then it's my job and my privilege to be able to provide that. So there are a lot of consumers, especially younger consumers, who really care about that. They want the companies they engage with to show the receipts, as they say, and show that they're making an impact. And it's not just enough to show a logo or a label. You have to really demonstrate what you're doing for people to take you seriously. So that matters to us, that transparency. If you are in the private label business, or if you're just starting a new brand, if you are not vertically integrated, if you're not actually growing the grapes and making the wine, then you need to find partners who are going to work with you. The catch-22 with organic specifically, but also all associated products, is that there's only so much of it, and you have to pay a premium for it. And there will, if these programs get bigger and bigger, approach a tipping point and France has seen this happen, where you're no longer getting paid more for the product because it's widely available, but people still have the expectation, and then it just becomes part of the cost of doing business. So if you're starting a new program and you want it to be organic or certified sustainable, regenerative, that's another big push for us now on the Central Coast, then you need to be prepared to pay either a straight premium or to work harder, because you're going to have to find a producer that aligns with you, that has inventory. So you need to think a little bit down the road. You can't just launch tomorrow something that you conceived of today. Even in times of long inventory, you have to search harder to find those certified wines and to find someone who's going to work with you. We like to build a relationship. We like to build a long-term program with
how
people.
does chains categorize, like each certification is treated differently, like, you know, sustainable or organic? You know, if you can give us a breakdown about how they see, what kind of different options or certifications are there, and just two line on what that means.
There's sustainable, which could be a number of different certifications. There are some regional ones. The program in which we participate is California-based, that looks at the totality of your production, from grape sourcing to winemaking to packaging, and also how you pay your employees, for example, how you make sure that your quality is high, and it's built on the idea of continuous improvement. So whatever your score was, even if it starts out great, you always have to improve in certain areas. That is the sustainable is probably the category that is most widely participated in, but it's the least understood because it's a sort of amorphous thing. So the onus is on us as the producer to explain to buyers and to consumers what that means. Organic, biodynamic, regenerative, those are all programs that are focused primarily on the grapes and on the land. Wine is an agricultural product. It's a plant-based product. So it involves how you farm, how you grow the grapes, and the inputs you put into the land. Organic is in a lot of ways about limiting inputs and using certain kinds rather than others, so that you're not harming the environment. Regenerative goes a step further, and that involves actually improving the land, improving the soil.
Wow.
Now, a lot of organic and biodynamic producers, they are focused on improving the land, especially if it's their own. But regenerative is based around the same thing. Like how can we improve the land so it's better than we found it, while at the same time making producing top quality grapes. So those are the big ones. There are other certifications in which we're involved that are more about food safety and consumer safety. Some of them have been sort of grafted onto wine, because wine is not subject to a lot of the same food safety concerns that other products are. Those are important too. So if you already have some kind of certification that you're doing from like a safety or a quality standpoint, the good news is that you're comfortable with those audits, you're comfortable with that kind of documentation that needs to happen, because there is a lot of documentation. But if you get over the initial hurdle, that first year, it gets easier after that, and you'll find that you have people on your team who are naturals, who are great at it, and they'll keep it going.
On the chain side, right, when you're meeting the buyer, let's give an example of Target, maybe, who may be doing a lot of this kind of thing, right? They've made it very clear. So what kind of conversations, what are the 5 or 6 questions they normally want to go deeper into in understanding, your sustainable plans? Or
they're always interested in certifications, because that's something that's
so
binary. You have it or you don't. Can we see the certificate?
Understood.
Can we see your grade if it's a graded system? And then they want to know that that's in place, because if they're going to promote it or put it on a certain shelf, they need to make sure that they're accountable for that. They will often want to know how that is different from perhaps another supplier they work with who has a different certification, so you have to be able to differentiate between them. And then particularly for chain buyers, it's really important to have continuity and scalability. If you're going into 50 stores or 100 stores today, they need to know if you can double or treble that tomorrow. So being able to scale is really important. And that's where it helps to be the end producer. There are a lot of middlemen out there who do negociant style programs where they will work with retail buyers, but they want to be able to source from different places, but they're not the producer.
True.
It's harder for them to guarantee. it's easier as a producer because I know, we have a 3-year plan, a 5-year plan, a 10-year plan. We're always thinking ahead. So you need to be able to show that you can scale, and you need to show continuity. So if I can say, yes, this is a vineyard I'm working with and we've got them on contract for 5 years, or this is our own ranch that we're developing, and this is what we've planted, so I know that that production is going to be there. Or these are the systems we put into place in our winery. So I can guarantee you that this practice is being followed. That means a lot to them because they don't like the bait and switch. Their buyers may change, their programs may change, but as a supplier, you have to be very stable for them. So that stability is one of the key things about these programs.
What were some of the things that were very tough in implementing this kind of programs? Any tips you have for the winemakers on the lessons that you may have learned?
One of the toughest things is if you don't own all of your grapes, if you purchase grapes, working with your growers to get them certified sustainable. For us, that was a big hurdle. For one, we work with a lot of growers. We're a large winery. We have great relationships with our growers. Most of these are long-term contracts. But you need to demonstrate the value to them. They have a choice of who they sell to. We try to be a partner of choice at every part of the value chain.
Because for them, you're adding a little cost for them.
There's
so you have to have them in the concept of long term.
That's right. So we have to sell them on it, and we couldn't sell them on it if we didn't believe in it. Like, look, this is where the market is going. People want to know that they are consuming something that is, at the very least, not harming the planet, and hopefully we can help the planet along the way.
So that has been a bit of a challenge to bring them on board.
That's a challenge because it's a lot of different entities, and you've got to get them on board and help them through the process. So our grower relations team and one of my colleagues in particular, just absolutely key to that process, and it took a lot of time. And then on the internal side, I mentioned getting all of those certifications cataloged in the system so we have traceability. That really matters. If you don't already have a system of traceability in your organization, you've got to implement that. Because you need to be, for legal reasons, you need to be able to, for the TTB, trace your wine production back to the vineyard to show that you're labeling correctly. But for these programs, you absolutely have to show the provenance of everything that goes into the bottle. So sometimes people don't understand, and I'm not sure if we fully understood the amount of work that is. But so it's taken us some time. Sometimes I would have to tell a buyer, man, I know this wine is from a certified vineyard, but it's going to take me 2 weeks to get the paperwork, so we can put it on the bill of lading. And that's important to us because in addition to labeling our own products, of course, I have my own clients in the business that want a certified product, and I have to be able to guarantee them that.